Hey folks, MasakoX here. Before we talk about the lovable bug who loves to hug people, I'd like to point you out to my brand new, newly minted, refreshed Patreon at patreon.com/MasakoX, where there are 2 simple tiers where you can pledge to just help continue to get this channel chugging along. I really appreciate you taking the time to consider it, and right now, let's get on to What If Perfect Cell Turned Good. The car was lazily hovering over the street. It wasn't even trying to be particularly stealthy. Not that it could, it was rather luxurious, and there was a strange bump or hatch over where the driver's seat would be, as if the person behind the wheel would be needing more space for some reason. Can't imagine why. The vehicle's passenger was looking toward the gates of the large penitentiary unit. If their intel was correct, and let's face it, it better be, the person they'd been waiting on would be leaving the prison soon. "Approach slowly," Magenta said, narrowing his gaze. He didn't want to attract too much attention. "Yes, sir." The man driving took a fast glance into the mirror to see if his immaculate pompadour was holding well, even though he did have a little bit of a bump to help out. Then he forced the vehicle to approach the building a little bit faster. And there he was, with a small bag of belongings, a young man of a rather stout posture with dark hair and bags under his eyes, which gave him that always tired look, really didn't help, started to walk toward the car. Magenta then rolled the window down. "Hey, Dr. Edo, I presume?" He started with a wide smile of a snake oil salesman. "Whatever you're selling, pal, I'm not interested." "Wait, how do you know my name?" The young man turned his head slightly toward the man. "Oh, someone who would like to talk with you. Come, take a seat. There's plenty of room for a bright mind such as yours." "All right, I'll bite. Since I've got nothing else to do, I need a ride." Hedo shrugged and situated himself within the other back seat of the car. As soon as he was on board, Carmine made sure to take his vessel away from the prison area. "So," Magenta opened the window and casually lit up his cigar to show who was in charge here. "I represent a company known as Red Pharmaceuticals." "Which are a front for the Red Ribbon Army, yeah, I do know that," Hedo said with a deadpan face, much to the surprise of the 2 men. How do you?" Magenta uttered. "Hachimaru, my spy bot. I realized that someone weird was asking about me and traveling around the prison. I just wanted to make sure that I know who should I'd expect, you know. Your driver with the weird hairdo, not exactly the stealthiest of people." Carmine coughed loudly, and he could swear that his pompadour would have been equally insulted if it could talk. But Magenta wasn't losing his good spirits. "Well, aren't you resourceful? Good. Our organization needs people like you see." "I don't know. My grandfather was associated with you, and everything that he did wasn't very beneficial to the family. My parents, they spent ages trying to run away from that legacy. Why would I come scurrying back?" Hedo glared at Magenta. Understandable. Still, we are reforming and changing our methods, you see. Much more philanthropic. We're in a more hero-type business nowadays." The older man smiled, knowing that he had used a very important word right there. "Hero?" Hedo's eyes brightened. "Kami, show the good doctor what we mean." The driver smiled slightly, as he then began to press a few buttons on the dashboard, and his passengers could now see a screen. When music started to play, his own voice could then be heard proudly proclaiming, "Carmine presents." He was particularly proud of that accomplishment. He got it on the first take as well, as this short documentary was showing off the amount of power that the alien-controlled Capsule Corporation currently held behind the scenes. Not only that, but they apparently stole the blueprints of Dr. Hedo's grandfather's greatest invention, Perfect Cell, and had unleashed it under their control. And to make things worse, he had spawned 2 creatures of his own. Bulma, the hateful leader of the organization, had amassed impressive and dangerous power. All right, that looks serious. Also explains a lot. So they infiltrated the police, right? I saw so with an officer who seems to be one of the people associated with that Capsule Corp. Hedo started to get a little bit more excited than he had planned. All the calm and collected facade was starting to ebb away as he visibly connected the dots. Magenta then nodded with a serious expression, believing that he was taking the bait. "We believe that their influences are rooted deeply. One of our benefactors, however, does see you as a capable young mind who can help find a solution on how to best these villains." Benefactor? Hedo was puzzled for the first time in a while. "I thought you were the head of the operation." "Oh, I am, but also I'm in contact with a scientific advisor. They would prefer to remain anonymous for the time being, for their own safety, of course, you must understand. They have a little gift for you." Magenta then gave Carmine a small memory stick which got immediately connected to the car's database as it was entering a tunnel. A series of blueprints and schematics appeared on the screen. That's... Hedo was stunned. There are 3 of them. Indeed. And if you manage to start work on that, we are willing to provide you all the resources of whatever you need or want. So, do you sign in, my boy? Are you game? Magenta smiled, offering his hand, puffing his cigar in absolute satisfaction. Hedo shook it, partially aware that he was doing a deal with the devil, but the things that he had just seen, he had to get a closer look. He absolutely had to. To say that they were familiar was an understatement. 6 months later, in a very different place, far above the clouds, Maita was meditating over a vase filled with water. Dende and Mr. Popo had been watching her in silence. From time to time, the surface of the liquid was moving ever so slightly, but it wasn't really clear what was the cause. Her nervousness and possible micro-movements, or something maybe a little bit more whimsical. "I think you're good, Maida," Dende smiled. The young bio-android let out a long sigh of relief. "Phew, creating divine water is much harder than it looks," she said, scratching her back. "Maybe so, but I think you did pretty well." The Guardian patted her on the shoulder. Mr. Popo then walked toward the vase and poured a little bit out. "Oh yes, that's divine water, all right. Very good," the genie said, showing a thumbs up to the girl. Brilliant, she had completed it. "It's probably due to the Namekian DNA in me. Nothing really that impressive, it was something I already knew." She blushed slightly. "Nonsense! You're working hard on this and trained your dormant divine power. You have to realize that not everything is due to how you were designed. A lot of what you achieved is the result of your own hard work." "Thank you, Popo. Dende, I really do enjoy these lessons, you know. Makes me realize that I can do more than just, punchy punch. Not that beating up criminals isn't fun, but I don't know. I want something more." "Yeah, we do see a lot of that from up here, giving the bad guys some hard times. How is Condra, by the way? You two always used to do everything together. Must be really weird, a difficult adjustment for him as well, when you develop separate interests. It's like you're not joined at the hip anymore." Dende was really getting into this. "Yeah, he's putting on a brave face and trying new things himself, but I think it's gonna be harder for him than me in the long run. I still make sure that we train at least once a week together, though. I don't want my twin to think I forgot about him or don't love him anymore." "All right then, try to locate him. Time for a new lesson." Mr. Popo came with a tray filled with snacks. "Huh? But I can sense his energy. That's not very hard or new." Maita furrowed her brow. "No, not like that." Dende shook his head. "Close your eyes. Picture him. Try to see what he's doing right now." "All right." The bio-android shut her eyelids, listening to the instructions, and whilst munching on a sweet roll, she tried to focus, trying to summon the picture of her brother into her head. It took her a good 10 minutes or so, almost falling asleep due to her eyes being closed, but she finally started to see a shape. He's in front of Piccolo's house with Pan, I think. Piccolo was watching the two, focused. Although after a recent growth spurt, Condra was towering over the daughter of Gohan. She was jumping around him like a little flea, trying to get a hit on, the son of Cell. But he was, however, good with the defense. He was serious enough for the girl not to feel overly underestimated, but at the same time, rather gentle, just to make sure he didn't hurt her by accident. "Nice one, Pan," Condra shouted excitedly. "Now let's up the game." The bio-android flew up, gaining the aerial advance over the child.
Not fair!"
The girl's face tensed as she tried to jump higher and higher. "Pan, remember what you trained. Focus," Piccolo said calmly. The daughter of Gohan closed her eyes as Condra waited for her in the air. She started gathering power around her as her aura, incredible for a child her age, made a small crater around her. Still, no luck with flying.
That's no use. Sorry, Condry. I don't think I can.
Pan made a sad face.
Alright, I think that's enough for today. You two seem rather tired. Get hydrated in this instance.
Yes, Piccolo. Condra rolled his eyes and landed, then took 2 water bottles, one for himself and one for Pan, and they began to drink.
Dad was supposed to teach me, you know.
She looked at both of them as she opened the bottle and started to guzzle down the water incredibly fast.
But I don't think he has time for me anymore.
Oh, don't say that. I'm pretty sure he's pretty busy. Right, Piccolo? Condra turned his head nervously to the Namekian, not exactly feeling super comfortable right now commenting on Gohan's parenting.
Someone should give him a peace of mind. I do feel that lately he's been coming up with some sort of excuse not to do things. Anyway, you should be off to kindergarten now, Pan. Miss Janet will be really upset if you're late again. I don't want to get on the wrong end of that.
Piccolo smiled at the girl eventually.
Yeah, I know. She says hi, by the way.
Pan giggled.
Well, I can walk you if you want.
I can take her. She can have a flight on my back if she wants. I wanted to pay Dad to do it anyway. Condra saluted with a smile.
Yay! Can I fly with Condry, Piccolo? Pretty please?
Pan then danced happily.
Alright. You two be okay?
The Namekian tried to look stern. I will guard her with my life, Master. Condra smiled widely.
Okay. I'll see you two tomorrow.
The Namekian nodded as the bio-android saluted and situated the child on his back and flew away immediately.
Don't forget about your form.
Piccolo sighed, holding the uniform in his very hands.
Oh, that doll's gonna kill me.
And with that, it almost felt as if the Namekian had summoned the wife of Gohan with his thoughts. Apparently, his friend once again would not be picking up his own daughter. That started to become even more irritating recently. Someone really had to give that boy a piece of his mind. There was no time to waste, because otherwise he would lose his own daughter's affections. And he'd already seen that happen with Goku. He didn't want to see that happening again. The conversation between the two wasn't fruitful. Gohan was busy with his research on bugs, and even though the Namekian tried to use rational arguments, thinking that Gohan would respond well, like the fact that Goku and Vegeta were often away to train with Whis, Gohan said that 21 was on Earth in case something happened.
You're also neglecting Pan. Kids have feelings too, you know. Remember how you wish that your own father had more time for you? Don't you realize that the apple doesn't fall hard on the tree? You're doing the exact same thing.
Gohan said nothing for a moment. I promise. This one paper, Mr. Piccolo, and I'll spend more time with her. How is she, by the way?
Good. Remembering that her dad had promised to teach her how to fly, and not feeling happy about that. Condra got very protective too of her as of late. I think it's his way of coping with Midas training, with Dende taking a lot of her time.
I don't think that's a problem. Condra's a good guy, and I'm pretty sure that he won't feel that sad.
No, there's not. But she also needs more time with her parents.
Piccolo shook his head and walked away.
I expect you tomorrow at our training session. Pick up your daughter,
he said, leaving in a rather frustrated manner. Gohan was a good kid, but it did seem that he was making excuses and that they had started to run in the family, becoming tradition. Hopefully Pan wouldn't start to make excuses herself. The Namekian needed some time to meditate, so he returned home. Pan would be in kindergarten for a while, so he could gather his own thoughts. While he was trying to concentrate on how best to help his friend regain a good work-life balance, a projectile hit next to his shoulder. He immediately moved to a fighting position. He saw a grey-skinned individual in bright mustard uniform, a blue cape, and with the all-too-familiar red ribbon army logo on their shoulder.
I thought the army remains where it belongs, in the junkyard of history,
Piccolo snarled. Hey! I was supposed to merely apprehend you, but considering all that trash talk, pun intended, I think I'll just eliminate you.
Be my guest, you costume freak.
Name's Gamma 2, and I shall take you down, Demon King Piccolo! The individual screamed, accusatory and somewhat heroically, and began to attack with ferocity that was far greater than the Namekian would have ever expected from a Red Ribbon product. Also, he had all those silly cartoonish effects around him that were really annoying. But Piccolo wasn't the only one having trouble right now. 21 was enjoying a bit of silence, although he was feeling a bit of a empty nest syndrome of sorts since his children had matured a lot in the last few years. He could listen to his favorite music and read a book, but he was missing them. But at the end of the day, he felt that at this stage of his life, it was beneficial for him to calm down, be that more distant father figure with a metaphorical pipe and favorite crime novel to read or something like that. He saw that on TV once, that's what older adults do, but still, unexpectedly, it was quite weird to discover that a large portion of his roof was missing.
Hey, we worked hard on building that, you know. That was particularly rude, whoever you are.
Well, too bad, Green Trousers Boy. I'm here to be loud, rude, and eliminate you.
The deep, low female voice was rather coy in nature, but their eyes belonged to a stone-cold killer. He could see a floating green cape and an eerily familiar logo.
You're one of hers, aren't you?
21 stood slowly, ready to fight. The mysterious gray-skinned woman smiled.
I have no idea what her you have in mind, Capture Corp freak. My name is Gamma 3, and your days are numbered.
And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now.